Hi folks, I'm Clint Long, talking to you about low appraisals and political manipulation. Although I've been in real estate for over 35 years as a broker, a former mortgage banker, a licensed appraiser, and have a degree in real estate, I really didn't get the overall picture until I investigated Andrew Cuomo, the Attorney General of New York. I was dumbfounded and fascinated at the same time. The Home Valuation Code of Conduct. The news media never mentions that Cuomo was Secretary of HUD 1997 to 2001. He was Assistant Secretary of HUD for Community Development 1992 to 97. He's the son of ex-Governor Mario Cuomo. He ran for governor in 2002 and lost. We have some horror stories about houses that have sold, been ready to close, and appraisal is low. You've got two categories of lenders here. The one, a lender within the appraisal department. They have a production office and it is separate from the appraisal department where they order the appraisals, and there's no communication on the appraisals from the lender production office. The second type lender doesn't have a separate in-house appraisal department, so they had to use an outside appraisal management company to order and process appraisals. The problem is they charge a higher fee and pay the appraiser 50 to 60% of the fee. The appraiser often has to travel a great distance, does his research usually before he comes, chooses the comparables that won't cause underwriter problems, and resents it because he's barely breaking even. A lot of appraisers hired by AMCs are just not going to do the extra research and verify the information about the comps when the fees are so low. Experienced appraisers are backing away. Cuomo gambles with home equity all across America through the Home Valuation Code of Conduct. What he is trying to do is put a firewall between the lender and the appraiser. The lenders that don't have their own appraisal management department must use a third party to order and manage appraisals. They raise the appraisal fees to the owner, lower the fee to the appraiser, and choose the appraiser that accepts the lowest fee. Low fees equal rushed appraisals. Many experienced appraisers are refusing the low fees. That leaves new appraisers to work for AMCs and not doing adequate research often. This lowers the quality of the appraisals. Individuals, banks, appraisers, others are getting into the appraisal management business. No regulation, no requirements. Only 4 states have regulations for the appraisal management companies. Cuomo had all sorts of mortgage qualifying abuses to investigate. And it's real strange that he only picked one, the appraiser pressure, and ignored all of the others. Cuomo ignores drastic lender abuses. Some started by him as Secretary of HUD. They say he threatened Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac with investigation if they didn't agree to his code of conduct. I think they agreed to it with a sigh of relief. He targets appraisal pressure only. This eliminates the U.S. Attorney General's investigation of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. It avoids future investigations about his major duplicity in our worst real estate crash since the Great Depression. It decimates the appraisal profession. His investigations saved us a few million but his actions as Secretary of HUD cost our country billions. This bears the Harlem scandal from his Secretary of HUD days. The Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac bailout is now at $400 billion. Cuomo is a professional politician using the government to further his political career. Let's watch a little video on him.
Civil actions. And in the case of the bank in Texas, AccuBank in Texas, discrimination in lending, discrimination in rendering mortgages, the bank has agreed to change its practices, as you heard from the Assistant Secretary. The bank has also agreed to a $2.1 billion agreement where they'll make $2.1 billion available to families who are low and moderate income across the country for mortgages. About 15,000 low and moderate income people will now be able to buy their own home because of the settlement we announced today. $2.1 billion is by far the largest settlement ever rendered to the federal government to settle a fair housing case.
How much punishment is that?
Well, $2.1 billion that would not have been available to families of low and moderate income families across the country. About 15,000 families we estimate will get mortgages who would not have gotten mortgages otherwise. Not that the bank has to make bad loans. We're not saying that the institution should lose $2.1 billion, obviously. That would be implausible and unintelligent. But aggressively, to take a greater risk on these mortgages, yes. To give families mortgages who they would not have given otherwise, yes.
Get the loans at all. They wouldn't have...
They would not have qualified but for this affirmative action on the part of the bank, yes.
Minorities are represented in that low and moderate income group?
It is by income, and is it also by minorities? Yes.
And also...
Okay. Sir?
Why were no punitive damages assessed against AccuBank?
With the $2.1 billion lending that amount in mortgages, which will be a higher risk, and I'm sure there'll be a higher default rate on those mortgages than on the rest of the portfolio. That is the remedy that we sought, and a remedy that I would prefer. 15,000 families. This is of a scope so beyond anything that we've really done in the past. We had one settlement just a couple of weeks ago, which was part and parcel of this, which is in the range of about $1 billion. But after that, the closest settlement was $300,000, $400,000, $500,000. So this is of a scope that much surpasses anything we've done in the past.
Let's go back to 2001 in the HUD archives. Robert C. Groves was Assistant Inspector General for Investigation, U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. He was investigating HUD 203K rehabilitation loan fraud. The investigations were in Harlem. They cost the department tens of millions of dollars because of a combination of deception, collusion, and lax oversight. There was a high rate of default for the 203K program in New York City. One lender, there was loans of $77.8 million, and almost all continued on. Part 2.